Hello and welcome back to the 6th Dividend Portfolio Update. Today I mainly wanted to look at the aftermath from me selling Nike and SCHD in the last video, and sort of what has changed, how the portfolio looks now, and kind of what happened since we sold them over a month ago. So first of all, I think we'll take a look at SCHD. This was mainly a position I sold out of because I was kind of using it as like a placeholder to store money in, while I kind of was experimenting which dividend stocks I liked and which ones I wanted to make long-term holdings. And it served its purpose really well, appreciated in value pretty nicely, and I was able to make money off of it. But it was a little bit slower than what I wanted, and it seemed like the focus of SCHD was moving away from more growth focused stocks and more towards like value stocks, which I'm not as big of a fan of. The main decision why I wanted to sell out, or like the last straw, would be them getting rid of Broadcom, which I saw as one of the best companies in SCHD and very much a growth focused company that had a lot of dividend growth as well as just lots of revenue growth and free cash flows growing. And I saw Broadcom as a really strong company, and so them getting rid of it basically because the dividend percent yield was too low was kind of the last straw for me to sell SCHD. But I ended up selling it on June 4th for about $78 a share. And since then, it's performed pretty well. It's gone up about $2 to $80. I think it's actually above $80 a share now. So that one has actually performed pretty nicely since I sold it, which is a little bit unfortunate, but at the same time, I put the money back into other dividend stocks that kind of perform pretty similar to SCHD. So I'm sure if I look at the action where the money went, it probably is up about as much as it would have been in SCHD. And I don't see SCHD as a position that I want to hold long term. I think that in the short term, it could fluctuate pretty quickly and it could go up a lot, but it's not something I want to hold long term. I think with interest rates, I feel like if interest rates start to go down again and the Fed starts dropping interest rates, SCHD could see like a big surge because a lot of the companies they own are kind of high dividend yield companies that probably also carry quite a bit of debt, and they would benefit pretty heavily in a lower interest rate environment. But yeah, long term, I just don't like the growth of the companies in SCHD, and I thought there were better options, which is what I added to in my portfolio. So that move doesn't look super good on my part, as I just sold it and it goes up a little, but it's not up that much, and I still think the money is in a better place now. So now we can move on to Nike, which is the other major sell I had in the portfolio. Nike was a big position of mine. Not my biggest position, but definitely one of my I have about 12 stocks, and it was one of the major big 12 stocks in the portfolio. And I sold about 14 shares of Nike on June 4th at about $94.55 a share. And since then, Nike has been doing pretty poorly, and they've gone down. I think it's around $70 a share now, just over that, maybe like $71 a share. And obviously I did not know that was going to happen, and I guess in a sense Nike does look a little bit more attractive to me now because of how much it dropped, and now that it's at like a better valuation. But ultimately the reason I sold out of Nike is because I don't like the industry it's in. It's sort of in the clothing fashion industry, and I feel like that industry is completely like trend based, and you can see big companies come and go and completely like fall off the face of the earth in the span of like years, and I don't really want to be investing in trends like that I feel like could be short-term trends and not hold up in the long term. So that's why I exited Nike, and even though it's at a better valuation now and it's down a lot, I still don't feel any like urge to re-enter the position, because ultimately I didn't sell it because it was overvalued or anything. I sold it because I felt like I didn't want to be in that industry, and unless Nike were to completely change the industry they're in and, I don't know, become some tech company or something like that, I don't see myself being interested in them in the future. So that one was a little bit better of a sell, but ultimately that doesn't really matter. The performance of the company after you sell them, it doesn't really affect you. It's not like it's actually changing any values in your portfolio, and you should focus more on your current positions. So with that being said, let's take a look at the current positions we do own. And I kind of wanted to highlight where a lot of the money went and like the reasons for I'm bullish on certain companies and which companies I really want to focus on going forward. So I think a lot of the money I had went to a little bit of everywhere. Like, I did spread it around pretty well, but the bulk of it went to 3 companies in the portfolio, which are Vertex, Regeneron, and NVO, which are all pharmaceutical type companies. They're mainly in biotech and pharmaceuticals, and I'm bullish on like the biotech advancements and those sort of pharmaceutical companies. And these are 3 companies that are in very strong positions, and they're just very consistent, great companies. And looking at all their financials, I just can't find any real flaws with them. Of the 3, NVO is probably the most, I guess I would say, overvalued. I think Regeneron and Vertex have very similar financials to NVO, but are at much cheaper valuations. So I guess those 2 I would kind of prefer to NVO, but I do get that NVO also has just like a lot of high growth like drivers behind it. Like in terms of stories, you have like Ozempic, which is probably going to be a huge cash cow and already is kind of a huge cash cow for NVO. So I still love NVO, but I think that Regeneron and Vertex are just at better valuations currently. But it depends. They all sort of trade around, so I like all 3 of them, and that's where most of the money went. So yeah, that's been the portfolio. We're up to 29,000, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.